In this video, we are going to study about IoT architecture. In IoT architecture, we are going to study about IoTWF architecture. In the previous video, we have studied about 1M2M architecture. So in this video, we are going to study about IoTWF architecture or Internet of Things World Forum architecture. So we are going to study about a little history of IoTWF architecture. So some companies, namely companies like Cisco and IBM and all developed an IoTWF architectural committee. And this IoTWF architectural committee developed the IoTWF architecture in 2014. So in 2014, that is 2 years after 1M2M architecture was released, they developed the IoTWF architecture. So IoTWF architecture is actually a 7-layer architecture. This is 7-layer architecture. So the layers of IoTWF are as follows. This is a 7-layer architecture. So the bottom layer is called as the So it's a 7-layer architecture. The bottom layer is called as the physical layer. And on top of the physical layer, there is a connectivity layer. And on top of connectivity layer, there is an edge computing layer. Then there is a data accumulation layer and data abstraction layer. Then on top of that, there is a there is an application layer. And on top of that, there is a collaboration layer. So this is the IoTWF architecture. Okay. So the first layer or the bottom layer of IoTWF is the physical layer. Okay, the physical layer. So the physical layer is the first layer of IoTWF architecture. The physical layer consists of things. So what are things? Things are actually the Internet of Things objects. IoT objects are called things. So these things can be small microscopic sensors, or it can even be large scale, big machines. Can be machines as well. So these things are deployed at different places, and these things actually make the physical layer. Then we have on top of it is a connectivity layer. A connectivity layer, as the name suggests, it is actually connecting the physical objects. So we are deploying physical objects as places. It is of no use, right? So instead of to make it use, we are actually connecting the layers. So this is the connectivity layer actually doing. So what the connectivity layer, there are certain functions for the connectivity layer. So it supports communication between the devices, and it ensures reliable delivery of packets or information. Then it controls switching and routing between the nodes and all. And then there is a translation of protocols. Because in the previous session we have talked about IPv4 and IPv6 and all that, because there are a lot of protocols being used in IoT devices. So you have to at least sometimes you have to translate between these protocols. So that is done by the connectivity layer. Then it is implementing security as well. Okay. And now the third layer is called as the edge computing layer. So at the edge computing layer, it is also called as the fog layer. So what is this layer doing is that, if this is the IoT connectivity layer, say this is the IoT connectivity layer, and then on top of this there will be a fog computing model there. Okay. There will be a fog computing model that will be deployed. So this model, what it does is that it actually evaluate and reformat data. evaluate and reformat data, because we have studied that the data in IoT is actually unstructured. Okay, it is not structured, it is not organized. So what it does is that it evaluate and reformat data, and it performs data abstraction. This is done for reducing the data traffic, and then it also filter data, that is, it removes unwanted data, and it does a certain term of data assessment as well. So in IoT architecture, the first four layers are considered as the upper layers. So these are the upper layers. So what this edge computing layer is doing, it is making data available for the upper layers in a usable way. Okay, in the upper layer, the first layer we see is called the data accumulation layer. So data accumulation layer is the first layer in the upper layers. So what this data accumulation layer is doing is that it stores data, kind of storing data in a particular format, that is, it is usable by the applications. Okay, so that is the data accumulation layer doing. And top of data accumulation layer, there is a data abstraction layer. So what is the data abstraction layer is doing is that it reconciles data in multiple format. So the data that comes is actually in multiple formats, because it is unstructured data, right? So these multiple formatted data is actually combined, okay, or reconciled to make a data abstract. So this ensures consistency of data. This is for consistency of data. And top of this is the application layer. So this is the application layer. The application layer, what the application layer does is that it actually interprets the data using software applications. It uses software applications to kind of just interpret the data. So that is the application layer doing. Now on top of the application layer, there is a collaboration layer. The collaboration layer. So what the collaboration layer it is doing is that it consists of, it is actually shares data between the different applications available. You know about these data brokers and everything. So the data that is connected by IoT devices are very important. Okay, it is very useful as well. So what the collaboration layer can do is that it can actually send this data, or make the data usable for other applications, external applications. Okay, it shares data. So that is what the application layer is doing. The collaboration layer is doing. The collaboration layer shares data so that it is usable for other applications. So that is the collaboration layer doing. So this is the IoTWF architecture. It was developed by IoTWF architectural committee. It is a 7-layer architecture, consists of the physical layer, that consists of the things, and then there is a connectivity layer actually connects the objects, an edge computing layer, a data accumulation layer, data abstraction layer,